when you need to talk to a private eye.
You want to be talking to Jim Rockford.
That's right. He's the one to talk to.
They don't know who you're talking to.
Rockford.
He's got everyone talking.
What kind of lowlife is he?
Takes out half-page ads in the phone book.
I seem to recall a phrase, moderately intelligent private detective.
You have a smart mouth. You're right, I do. But I'm working on changing that.
Jim Rockford is all the talk on MeTV.
He's something else, all right.
Weekdays at 11, 10 Central on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Malos, and welcome to this edition of Connect with Me, live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV, Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6. Today, a very special guest, my pleasure to have in for the second time in a year, should I say it or should I make you wait? He's a head football coach right here in the Central Valley. We'll make you guess as to which one. 436-MeTV is the telephone number to call in. Hit option 11. We're back with our special guest in just a moment. Glad to have you back live here on the showroom floor after yesterday's tape program with Jack Wiegand. He's the 20-year-old sensation trying to fly around the world right now. He's over in Europe trying to make that solo flight and get his name in the Guinness Book of World Records. Of course, we'll have him back on the show once I know he completes that trip and gets his name, of course, in the record books. We wish him well, and maybe we can even try to get a phone call or two from him before his trip ends. But today, a very special guest. I'm so pleased that the Fresno State Bulldogs appear to be back as far as Fresno State football is concerned. The Red Wave should be out in full force this coming year. And you know what? Believe it or not, this is the middle of May. Hey, August is the start of the season. It's around the corner. Let's go to the videotape, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. They had spring practice just a couple of months ago out there at Bulldog Stadium. They were going at it, hot and heavy, no competition though at the quarterback spot. Derek Carr returning for his senior year. He's got it locked up. Every other position could be a battle though, and I'm sure that head coach Tim DeRuyter will have some tough decisions to make leading into that season that gets underway in late August. The Dogs are coming off, and I must say, a very impressive season. 9-4 overall, 7-1 in the Mountain West Conference. They actually tied Boise State and San Diego State for the best record in their conference at 7-1. Man, what's amazing about the last season was the fact that it was DeRuyter's first year as head coach of the Bulldogs, and I'm sure he's delighted to be back. Yes, they lost that Christmas Eve game against SMU in the Hawaii Bowl 43-10, but you know what? Sometimes you learn by losing, and I'm sure even the coach is here to tell you today that his returning players learned something from that game. Live in our studio right now is the head coach of the Fresno State Bulldogs. He is Tim DeRuyter. He's here to answer your questions. 436-MeTV is a telephone number here. Remember, turn down the sound on your television. You won't be able to hear us. We won't be able to hear you. And then hit option 11. We're back with the head coach of the Bulldogs in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
It may be the off season for you, the football fan, the sports fan, but you know what? It's never a day off for the coach and the coaching staff at Fresno State. It's a year-round job. Is that right, Coach?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's recruiting or training or practicing.
It's good to have you back here. Remember your first appearance, of course, last year. It was your first year. So how do you feel? Can you exhale a little bit?
Just a little bit. You know, it's always nicer the second time around.
Yeah.
Our staff, our players all have a familiarity with how we want to do things. And given that we had some success last fall, I think there's good momentum going into this year. So it's very gratifying to be a year later and having 9 wins and a co-championship.
You know, I know when you first came in the studio and I mentioned today that you had a great season, you were kind of modest about that, but you really did. If you look back, 9-4, it really showed that Bulldog football is back. 7-1 in the conference. First year in the Mountain West Conference. You got to be very proud of what they did despite the Christmas Eve Bowl.
No doubt. Extremely proud of our players, of our staff. You know, a year ago, coming off of a 4-win season, there was a lot of doubt. And changing schemes on both sides of the ball, you know, changing philosophy in the program, there's always that anxiety of you know, hey, what's this going to lead to? And to be able to go out and get a co-championship, I can't be more proud of our guys. We just got to play better in that last game.
How'd that offense work for you last year? Remember we talked about that on the show?
Yeah, you had some concerns, as everybody did.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Hill and his staff offensively did some tremendous things. And when you change as radically as we did, going from a pro style to a spread offense and going up tempo, I know a lot of our offensive linemen, they shed a bunch of pounds. They were nervous about that because we ask a lot of them just in a no-huddle offense. But I think the results spoke for themselves. I think we set all kinds of records. Derek threw for tons of yards and was a player of the year offensively, and Robbie still ran for 1,500 yards. So our guys accomplished what we thought we could last spring. And now that we know the offense, I think this year we can go even further with it.
Yeah. Now, did the players learn something from that Hawaii Bowl? And if so, what life lesson do you think they learned from that game?
Well, I hope they learned things because we've used that as motivation this offseason. We know we can't take anybody lightly. And I don't believe that our guys, truly thought we could show up and just win. But clearly we didn't play our best game, and that's on me and our coaches.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure that every single week, it doesn't matter who we play, we better be ready for a dogfight. And we had good practices over there. I think our guys were focused. But the margin between winning and losing is very, very slight if you're not totally invested, and we got to do a better job of being invested that way.
And I purposely didn't pull the video from last year's Hawaii Bowl because it's not an example of what kind of a season you had. Anybody can have a bad game. Look at the Giants, San Francisco Giants. They're World Series champs. They got slaughtered in Toronto the last 2 days. So it happens to everybody, even the pros. Let's. I want to put up the graphic because you had a great recruiting season. I want you to talk about that. Look at that. 17 freshmen, 7 junior college transfers. Let's talk about the players that we're looking up on the screen right now, Coach. Go ahead and go one by one, if you will.
Sure. The first guy we named is Zach Greenlee. Zach, very highly recruited quarterback out of Stockton. Played at Lincoln High School. As those rating services go, you don't always believe what they say, but they rated him, I think, a 4-star prospect. The thing I like about him, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He knows how to win. He can make all the throws. Very, very good competitor. I think he's going to fit our offense very, very well. He had a late charge from some SEC schools coming in to try to recruit him. I kind of flirted with him a little bit, but hung with his commitment to us, and we're excited about him.
Yeah, and then you got a local guy out of San Joaquin Memorial High School.
Yeah, Jalen Ruiz, he's a very talented young man. He's right here locally. We expect big things from him. He's got a little bit of academic work to make up, to make sure that he's ready to go, but we're excited about his future.
And Ryan Steele out of Kingsburg?
Ryan's another defensive lineman. He'll be a nose guard for us. He's about a 6'2", 300-pounder. His dad played in the National Football League. Very tough guy, plays with a great motor, and for the people that saw Kingsburg play, he showed up on tape.
All right, and a player that a lot of people around here in the Central Valley know. Let's go to the videotape. Justin Holmes, the safety out of Edison High School. You can see him. The arrow will come up and point to Justin Holmes, where he is on the field. Talk about him, Coach.
Well, we first noted Justin in our team camp last year when Edison came, and he just kept making play after play. He was very, very physical, very good athlete, and Coach McDonald had recruited him, knew about him being here in the area, and then when we saw him in the fall, he just kept making plays, and we thought that's the safety we want to build around for the future.
Yeah, he's great. It looks like, just looking at this video, and I didn't see him play in person this year, but I saw a lot of highlights of him and heard all about him and read about him. It looks like he's all over the field.
He really is. He plays with great tenacity. He's a skinny guy right now. Once we get him into a year-round training program, not where he's just doing football part of the time, he's really going to develop and become a great player, I believe.
Do you do that slowly? You build that body up slowly?
No, they're going to
do it all at once.
Well,
huh?
they're going to jump in this summer.
Okay.
Joey Bozé is our strength coach, and he's done a tremendous job in getting our guys ready to play in an up-tempo system on both sides of the ball. And we'll have some of our freshmen as soon as they graduate here in summer school this year, and they'll be able to go.
Is Holmes the kind of guy you can just bring in out of a high school program and he's going to start, or do you know yet?
No, well, we don't anticipate anybody coming in right out of high school and starting, but everybody's got an opportunity to do that. And so part of it is the physical part of it, and he'll get a chance to get a jump on that this summer.
Yeah.
But the bigger part is understanding our defensive schemes, our calls, and as a safety, you're really a quarterback of the defense back there. So he's got to know our defense inside out, and that usually takes some time. But I'm not saying he can't do it, because he's got a lot of raw ability.
See, that's the thing. It's a different game. Going from high school to college, you have to know the system and study the playbook. That's probably the biggest hurdle, right?
Yeah, probably so.
At least one of them.
Yeah, between the physicality and I think he's got that. But learning the defense, we play a very complex style of defense. It's predicated on disguise, multiple coverage. It's very much an NFL defense, and it's different than most high schools play.
All right, I'm really interested in this kicker out of Austin, Texas, Colin McGuire. I understand he kicked a 53-yarder in high school. Talk about him.
Well, he's a kicker from out in Austin, Texas. And for those people that don't know, football's kind of important out there.
Yeah.
So he's kicked in front of stadiums where there's been 20,000 people in the stand. He's kicked multiple game-winning field goals. And, in fact, last summer, he came out here to our kicking camp. And we had kids from all over the country. He came and won that competition, and we're excited to have him come compete, and he could start for us this year.
Yeah, I'm getting the signal. I got to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about some of those junior college transfers too. 436-MeTV is the telephone number here. Option 11 on your telephone. We've got Coach Tim DeRuyter in our house today. Back in just a moment.
Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
We are talking to Coach Tim DeRuyter, of course, of the Fresno State Bulldogs today here on the World of Sports on Connect with Me. Your phone calls are important. Hey, don't forget the number 436-MeTV. It's up on your screen. It's 6388. Hit option 11. Call in, ask your question. Bulldogs had a great season. The season starts on, I believe, August the 29th. It's amazing at Bulldog Stadium. It's just around the corner. Time goes by so fast. I just can't believe it. But, Coach, let's talk about some of the junior college transfers. You got one player out of College of the Sequoias, Claudel Lewis. What position does he play, and what kind of a player is he?
Well, he's a really good-looking defensive end for us. One of the things that we thought we lacked last year was some depth in our offense and defensive lines. And Claudel's a guy, he's about 6'5", 280 pounds. He looks the part, and he's got a great upside. He should come in and compete and give us great depth at our defensive line this year.
Now, let me ask you, Coach Hill, and I don't want to get into what his philosophy was, but he wasn't into recruiting junior college players. I see you recruited 7 of them, and the question is why, and what benefit will you get out of that?
Well, I think my philosophy is every year you've got a roster manage at the end of the year. You've got to look and see where your scholarships are per class, and you've got to space them out. And if we've got a class of juniors that might be light, like ours is in our offensive defensive line, we had to address that.
Yeah.
Ideally, just like Coach Hill, I would love to sign 24, 25 high school seniors and have them, progress like you anticipate them to. But that rarely happens in football, and that's why you've got to look to the junior colleges to shore up those holes.
So you're saying that's not realistic in this day and age of recruiting?
I'm not saying it's not realistic. It's unlikely.
It's unlikely, yeah, it's unlikely. Let me ask you something. Winning cures everything. You cured a lot of ills last year with your record. I mean, finishing at the top there, 7-1, tying for the championship, of course. We all know what happened in the last game. But do you think at this point, not that you lose sleep over it, but You've made a lot of people forget about Pat Hill with your first year. You've done a terrific job, Coach. Know you have.
Well, I don't know that they've forgotten about Coach Hill because he did some great things. What I think they've forgotten is we had a couple down years, and Fresno State ought to be competing for championships. And we anticipate we'll be competing again for a conference championship this year. The beauty of this year is we've added 2 teams to the conference, and now we have 12 teams in 2 divisions. And so for us to get a chance to win a division outright and play in a championship game for the conference, we're excited about.
All right, telephone call here. Good morning. You're on with the coach. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, John. Couple questions to Tim.
Sure.
One is now you might have covered this already. How does Tim or you choose the players? I mean, do we shoot for grades? And, of course, I believe each one gets a scholarship. I don't know. I'm kind of vague on some of the football issues, so I'm sorry. I need to know. And the next question is, did we win more at home than away this last season?
Well, your first question, when we recruit young men, and we've got our assistant coaches out right now looking at juniors coming up into their senior year to identify those potential prospects. We evaluate them, not just football watching the tape, but we have guys go out into the high schools and talk to guidance counselors. What are their grades like? What kind of character does this young man have? And talk to those coaches about that. So all those things are involved. And then to your second question about home versus away, we were 6-0 at home last year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we won 3 games on the road. So we played much better at Bulldog Stadium. I think our guys really get a lift from the Red Wave, and I've got to do a better job of getting our guys to play on the road.
Okay, appreciate that information. Go Dogs.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks, John.
All right. Take care. Thank you for the call. Good to hear your voice again. Let's go to the videotape here, turn to the monitor, Coach, and we'll take a look at spring practice here. It took place a couple of months ago. These are the quarterbacks. I'm going to go over them. Derek Carr, obviously, doesn't even need a mention. We all know who he is. Miles Carr, no relation, and Marcus McDade. Obviously, Carr's got this thing locked up, right? There's no competition at the quarterback spot.
We anticipate Derek will be our starter again. He's a returning conference player of the year, so.
And he's number 4 right there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. He's got all the tools you're looking for in a quarterback. He can make all the throws. He's very athletic, very smart quarterback. And he's got those intangibles you look for. He's a great leader and very high character young man.
Yeah, and that right there, I believe, well, that's Derek Carr. Number 6 is Miles Carr, and number 16 is Marcus McDade. Is Derek Carr better than his brother?
Well, I wasn't around when David was here. I've met him. Derek will probably tell you he is. David will probably tell you, otherwise. But all I know is I'm really excited about what Derek's done for us so far, and really what he brings to us this season.
Why do you think he'll be a better quarterback this year?
Well, I think anytime you're the second year in a system, you understand, you see on tape when you make a decision, whether it's a good or bad decision, and why it happens, and that learning process gets speeded up. And so because the learning speeds up, the game slows down for you. And I think for Derek right now, he knows the offense inside out. He's had a spring, a fall, a season, and another spring. He'll have another fall camp. He'll go into this year where he won't have to think. It'll just be reaction.
Right. Is he going to be highly recruited? He'll be a high draft pick in the NFL draft, do you think, next year?
I think he's definitely a draft pick. It'll depend a lot on the season that he has this year. He's got a lot of the measurables, but he's not a 6'5" quarterback. He's got a strong arm that can make the throws. He just has to go out and prove it again this year.
Another minute or so before we got to go to another break. Let's put up the videotape of the running backs. Of course, Robbie Rouse graduated. I believe he signed with Cleveland, did he not?
He just did last week.
Yeah.
So, I saw Robbie a couple days ago. He's excited to go out there and go compete for a job.
All right. Who are these guys? Darryl Cash, Martez Waller, and T.J. Thomas, all competing for the spot in the backfield.
Yeah, Martez was our backup last year to Robbie. He was a true freshman a year ago. Really won the backup job just coming in August. Like I said, as a true freshman, big time potential. He's going to probably have the inside track to be the starter this year. But we also have a junior running back who transferred a year ago from BYU in Josh Kazada.
Okay.
Those two guys are probably leading the pack to start for us, but it's going to be a little bit by committee. Daryl Cash had a really good spring for us, as did TJ Thomas. TJ's a redshirt freshman this year. And then we got another guy, Malik Meisenheimer, who had a great spring practice. We thought of him mostly as a fullback, but we put him at tailback a little bit, and he's got some things that he showed in the spring. So I really like our depth at running back. There won't be one guy probably run for 1,500 yards, but as a unit, we'll probably run for more yards this year.
Yeah, it looks like nothing is a secure spot in the backfield. It looks like they're going to have to earn it.
And that's the way, as a coach, that's what you love.
Yeah.
You know, you love having multiple guys because, unfortunately, in this sport, guys go down, and if there's a huge gap between number one and number two, obviously can affect the team. And I think we've got some really good quality depth.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're planning for the fact that Rouse isn't going to be in the backfield. He'll be watching, but he can't play for you anymore.
No, we'll definitely miss Robbie, not just in the backfield, but just in the locker room. And the
team leader, huh?
Yeah, the character and the leadership that he brought.
Yeah. Talking to Coach Tim DeRuyter of the Fresno State Bulldogs. He's on our show today. And the number here, 436-MeTV, option 11. Call in. We've got about 6-8 minutes left in the show. Be back in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified, ready, steam equipped, high efficiency Frigidaire affinity place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Frigidaire laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Before we leave and go off the air today with this program, I want to thank Jason Clay over at Fresno State. He's off to the side here. He was instrumental in helping get Coach DeRuyter in here, and we appreciate the fact that the coach is taking his time. Remember, it's a 24/7 job, 365 days a year. This guy doesn't take any time off. We may take time off from watching, but not him, so we appreciate his time, very valuable. Thank you again, Coach, and thanks to Jason Clay. Let's put up the results from last year's schedule, of course, the Fresno State Bulldogs 2012. Those are the wins and losses. Of course, you were 6-0. I guess, you know, obviously undefeated at home. You got to play a little bit better on the road. That's all.
Obviously. It's always tougher to go on the road and play. Arguably, we played our, probably best opponents on the road. And so when you play in Oregon, a Tulsa, and a Boise, they're probably the three of the top ranked teams we played, and we played well enough to be close in those games, but not well enough to win, and that's where we got to get over the top.
Yeah, and let's change it again. We'll go to the Mountain West Conference results. Look at that. At the top, you've got 3 teams that finished at 7-1. Of course, you lost to Boise, but not by much. 7-1 for those 3 teams. You got to be proud of that.
Oh, no doubt. We talked from day one that our number one goal in this program is to win the conference, and so to do it in our first year and have our guys put that effort in the entire year to be able to get that accomplished was very gratifying.
And I want to put up the schedule coming up for the 2013 Fresno State Bulldogs season. As you can see here, let's do these one by one here. So let's keep these up if we can. First game is August the 29th against Rutgers at home.
Yeah, a great opponent. They were co-champions of the Big East last year. They've got their quarterback and a 6'6" wide receiver coming back this year. They're going to be a formidable opponent. And so to open up the season, I know our guys have a little extra motivation. This isn't a 1AA opponent coming in.
That's a big game.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test, and we anticipate it to hopefully have a great crowd here on a Thursday night.
And then you got Cal Poly at home the following week, of course.
Yeah, that'll be Ag Day for us, and I know there's been a good history between our two schools and the agricultural community. So, and they've done a nice job. They won 9 games a year ago. They beat Wyoming in our league. So even though they're an FCS opponent, we know we better be ready for them.
At Colorado, and every time I see Colorado up there on the schedule, I think of that game that Carr played in, 10, 12 years ago at Colorado. Remember, I think it was an overtime game, wasn't it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it was a battle back and forth. But that's always a tough opponent for some reason.
Well, they're a Pac-12 school. That whole league does a great job, and they've got a new coach there. We played them a year ago here. We had a pretty good game against them, and I'm sure a bunch of those players remember that. So they'll be motivated to play us that week.
Boise State, you've got to. I mean, I know you're looking at them right now. The focus is we got to beat these guys.
Oh, absolutely. You know, to open up our conference schedule with them at home, it'll be a Friday night game. We're really excited to get them in Bulldogs Stadium.
As you look at the schedule, Coach, up there, do you see anybody that, I mean, I hate to say this, it doesn't look like you have too many weak opponents up there. Every game is really going to be a struggle.
Well, you know, but you want that. As a competitor, you want to play against the best. As we look at the Mountain West Conference, it's a very deep conference, and with two new teams with Utah State and San Jose State coming in, 2 top 25 teams have been added to our conference. So we know, just like we found out in that December game, if we're not ready to play, we can get embarrassed any week, and that'll keep our guys grounded and motivated.
And that, of course, rounds out the schedule. At San Diego State, that'll be a tough game. Nevada is at home this year as opposed to last year on the road. Wyoming, New Mexico, at San Jose. And then, of course, you finish out with the Mountain West Conference title game. That'll take place on a Saturday, December the 7th. Anything about the schedule you don't like?
No, you know,
it's pretty good, huh?
I really do like it. We'll know that first month, you know, with Rutgers, Cal Poly, Colorado, and Boise State, where we stand this year. And we think we got a chance to have a special year, and we'll know in that first month.
I've got to ask you about Coach Sweeney, because he passed away not too long ago. They had the memorial for him at Bulldogs Stadium. What did Coach Sweeney mean to this program? What did he mean to you as a head coach?
Well, I'll tell you, he was truly the godfather of this program. He got Fresno State on the national map as far as what we were about and what the Valley was about. And for Fresno State to be where we are today, I think it's due in very large part to what Coach Sweeney did. I remember being in high school, hearing about his antics and some of the guys that played up here that went to my high school, and what a great character. His teams were always ready, and he had that fire, that Bulldog spirit that really defines this program.
Do you think you have that kind of spirit, that kind of fire? Can you emulate that a little?
I'm my own guy, but I don't know if I can emulate Coach Sweeney. I'd love to, because he had such great success. But we do things our own way.
You have a lot of enthusiasm, though. You've got it in you.
I do. I just don't sing as well as Coach Sweeney did. So.
But I mean, it's amazing to think that he played at Ratcliffe Stadium, okay, and he helped build Bulldog Stadium.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, that's a great example of what he did for this program. He took us to another level, and. Right. If it weren't for his efforts, we might be a Cal State Bakersfield or Sacramento State, but we're Fresno State, and we're a perennial contender for conference championships in Division I. And
it's almost like going from single A baseball to the major leagues is basically what he did for this program in Fresno State.
Absolutely. When you looked at a time where the Cal State Fullertons and Long Beach States had to drop their programs at a very similar level to what we were here, competing with them. He took this to a different level as opposed to it dropping off by the wayside.
It's amazing. And Thomas Bay is going to stay at Fresno State. I imagine you're happy about that. He's been there, 8 years, I believe?
I think he's going on his 8th year now. I've known Thomas a long time from back in the Ohio days, and he's done a great job cleaning up this program and putting us on a path where we can win and do it with integrity.
You're happy he's staying then, because he adds to the program. He understands what you're trying to do as a coach.
Absolutely. We've got different constraints here in the CSU that maybe some other folks don't, but he's doing everything possible to help us win, and we're just glad that he's on board still with us.
Yeah. Well, our viewers go from Merced all the way almost down to Bakersfield, so this program could help in your recruiting process next year.
Well, we certainly hope so.
Yeah. All right. Coach DeRuyter, we appreciate your time.
No problem,
Thanks for coming in. Hey, maybe next year. Come in again, but prior to the season.
Okay. Let's get with Jay Clay.
Yeah, all right. I'll ask Jason. Anyway, good to have you here. Thanks for your time. That's going to do it for us today here on Connect With Me. We're back tomorrow with another program, another edition of Connect With Me. If you're watching us on Connect With Me, you must be watching MeTV Fresno. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you like me?
Just like me.
Like MeTV Fresno on Facebook. Get the latest news, interact with others, watch videos, become a fan of me. Exclusively brought to you by Ventura TV.
Look at that.
Isn't that a great layout? You son of a gun.
This campaign is no good.
No good.
Darren and Larry, the original Mad Men on Bewitched.